So the UAE government has announced that it is going to be the startup capital of the world. Where do you think we stand at the moment?
I think we're still in.
How has the mindset of entrepreneurs evolved?
Out here, you have more access and more capital. It is the know-how that's missing of what do I actually need to do. The challenge of startup that gets solved by incubators is missing.
And what is that?
Funding. Tell me how many friends and family of yours have launched a startup and were able to do that with seed funding rather than bootstrapping and going to friends and family.
We bootstrapped, by the way.
And then there's a question of homegrown unicorns. We are importing businesses right now. I mean, money is abundant out here.
What are the three things that any entrepreneur today should take from this conversation?
Number one, being an entrepreneur does not mean you have to be working in the business. Number two,
Good morning, Jigar.
morning.
Finally, we meet, huh? We've been planning for quite some time.
Well, we've met, but we've finally been able to get in front of the mics.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Pleasure.
We are going to be talking about the startups, of course, and that is your expertise, right? So the UAE government has announced that it is going to be the startup capital of the world. Things are happening, and we have D33 around the corner, 8 years away still. But things are happening fast. Where do you think we stand at the moment? What do you currently see on the horizon?
From a startup environment,
Yeah.
I think we are still in the egg. I know that we get tagged and flagged as the place to be, which it is. But if you're going to talk specifically about startups, genuinely, I would say we're yet to start. I mean, we're still in the shell. There is infrastructure being built to have the right environment. But if you want to compare it to somewhere else on planet Earth, what do startups want? They want a great ecosystem. They want a great startup environment. Yes, we have political stability out here. We have financial and health, safety, security, and all that from a lifestyle perspective out in the country. But what a startup requires is way more than just a healthy business environment. A startup requires anything and everything that sparks into allowing them to launch. And if you look at it from that perspective, it's easier for companies which are based out here, even today, to go raise money outside. Why? Why do we have to go procure talent from outside yet? Look around you. You run a successful company. How many of them are made in Dubai?
Yeah.
How much of your human resource comes from Dubai? And that's why I say we have the right intentions. We're on the right path, but we're still at the starting line.
Absolutely. I think I resonate with it. I mean, when I look at the history of Dubai and the UAE in general, I mean, I've been doing a lot of research. I'm writing my own book as well. You've actually said it very precisely. If you look at the genesis of businesses starting up here, for example, going back to the very free zones, right? I mean, 1985, Jabal Ali, Dubai really focused on bringing in bigger corporations into the city, right? And then Dubai Internet City, right? The next free zone. And same thing happened. Microsoft came and other tech companies came. But it was really about bringing in big tech, and having them launch their regional headquarters from here, right?
Right.
So the city has, I think, come a long way since then. And you're absolutely right that the ecosystem is there in a way now, but it's a very early stage. I mean, if you compare it with the Silicon Valley, for example, how would you see it?
I mean, we are living in a business environment, right? No doubts. Yeah. It's a great place to be in. But specifically for startups, we are yet to scratch the surface. And that's where the mismatch is. So anything and everything that has happened in the city is beautiful. It's wonderful, right? I mean, had it not happened, we wouldn't be here. If you didn't have Jabal Ali or, Media City and the likes, we wouldn't have had the change and shift in the regulations. Those zones predominantly originally were created to sort of circumnavigate certain legal challenges that were written in the law. And back then, we had these laws which were not pro-startups. Today, those laws have been revised. So you see, when I say they have been laying the infrastructure, that's what I mean. So yes, you have now had revisions to the regulations. Do we require further revisions to regulations? Absolutely. Is capital protected out here? Could a startup easily declare bankruptcy? Yes, we saw the introduction of the bankruptcy law, but I mean, how much of it does actually happen on the ground, and how long is it going to take? I mean, you have a legal background, right? So if you just want to focus on that legality of things, where do you think, from a startup perspective, Dubai sits?
Yeah, I think I'll connect the dots here. When you said Internet City and Jebel Ali Free Zone, the very first regulation that needed to be changed was the companies law, right?
Correct.
And before that, there was an impediment in terms of, inviting foreigners, for example, and there was a challenge of 51% ownership, and that the creation of free zones actually eliminated that hurdle, and then people came in, right, and that gave the groundwork, the basic groundwork. Now it is all about facilitating the AI, for example, the new innovative technologies. For example, if there is supposed to be self-driving vehicles on the road, I personally think there needs to be laws around those things.
But it's going to be a while.
Regulations need to shift.
Yeah.
AI is happening. Of course, the UAE government has taken a very smart step in terms of appointing ministers of AI. And now, the entire ecosystem needs to be built, and I'm sure they're working a great deal on that. And regulations will end up supporting AI startups as well. I think you're working yourself on AI a lot, right?
Oh, multiple products.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, I think it's as simple as saying, do you want to look at a place and focus on what was, and that's why be there? Or do you want to be in a place because they have the vision for the future? So all said and done, if you see where we were in the past, whether it comes in terms of for startups as a financial environment, legal environment, they were not really the best, globally speaking. But if you see the vision, if you see the roadmap of what's happening in the city, in this country, then definitely you will understand why this is the place for someone to be. This is basically going to be the goldmine of the future for startups, because this is where capital, talent, and the vision is going to come together. Regulations are going to come together, and that groundwork takes time. Other countries have done it over centuries.
Yeah.
We have had to do it over a couple of decades.
Yeah, true.
So that speed with which we have adapted was mind-blowing.
It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal.
What happens next?
Yeah.
Are we able to now, we caught up to what everyone else was doing. Now, are we going to lead with new ideas, new way of thinking, or not, is to be seen.
Right. And what are the changes that are happening at the moment? I mean, you're quite actively involved in startups, of course. Let's take the example of AI.
Right. So if you see, we are talking about AI, and the challenge is that sometimes when you're a very media-centric, noise-centric society, which Dubai is, you lose the substance. Today as a business, everyone's talking about AI without truly understanding what are they meaning. Everyone wants to be in AI without realizing what is AI. I mean, it's nothing but simple algorithms. I mean, okay, complex algorithms, but simply automations and, bringing efficiency into your business. There is no AI business. AI tools to support your existing business. And people out here are still operating out of Excel. People out here are still operating out of WhatsApps. They don't have their database right. They don't store their client information correctly. How many companies could you tell me would have a database right now in the city to tell me what is the beverage preference of their customers when they walked in through the reception? Right?
Very tough.
Okay, so
very, very rare, I would say.
And you go talk to every business owner out there. They say, "Oh yeah, we care about our customers."
Yeah.
I mean, if you cared, then what are you doing about it? How are you showcasing it? Right. So for me, it is about using technology to make your business better. And AI is a tool that can be used. In this city, databases are not structured right. How do you even want to implement AI? So from that perspective, we'll have to catch up as private sector from the ground up into bringing data in a structured manner to begin with. Now, is it painful, time consuming, costly? Absolutely. How many of them are going to be able to afford it? How many of them want to invest in it? And that's where I see the mismatch, that while we have Ministry of AI, so amazingly forward thinking, putting the right infra in place, regulations in place for the city to lead when it comes to AI, on the ground, do we have any initiatives from anywhere, private or public, to help companies digitize? No.
How far are we at the moment? I mean, of course, there's
I mean,
misunderstanding.
you tell me, walk around your office corridors and see how many of them actually use Excel.
It's quite obvious. I mean, a lot of companies do that, and in reality, of course, thank you for clarifying. First of all, the difference between AI business and how AI is supposed to be deployed in a business, right?
Yeah.
So now, at the moment, in my understanding, there would be companies out there that are going to provide that algorithm support to the businesses, right?
They don't know your business, and that's
Right.
where the challenge is going to happen as well. So right now you have a lot of people who understand AI in the sense of what can be deployed where, what tools exist, but ultimately they are business consultants, and frankly speaking, the best business consultants are the founders, are the business owners, especially for a small to medium sized business, right? Like, okay, I'm not going to talk about large multinational corporates. I'm talking about the majority of the business that actually exists in this city. For those, who understands your business process better than you at this point? Nobody. So it's not for someone else to come and tell you how to do your business better. Fine, you can tap into that consultancy, you can tap into that advice, but are you as an individual owner or a team of partners, etc., keen on investing in technology today to reap the benefits for the future? Because on book, it's an expensive investment from a cash flow perspective. And when you do this, you don't see a machinery, you don't see a pool table, so all of a sudden you are hesitant of investing in it. Because you're only going to see the results if you have done it right in the future. And that's why no one's doing it. Because they're hesitant to invest in something that they don't see and touch and feel.
So there is a gap at the moment in understanding and implementation.
Oh, absolutely.
And what is it that UAE is doing to actually ensure that that gap is bridged?
There is enough know-how in the market that this is important. But there is nothing happening on the ground in terms of support from anywhere. So you have a few incubation centers in the city, right?
Yeah.
And if you go talk to them, can you help me digitize my business? The next thing they do is they point the finger to one of the consultants who is supposed to come study your business workflows. Firstly, if you have those workflows, because you would be surprised, less than 1% of businesses have workflows defined, drawn, written out. They'll try to first charge you to bring that in order. Then they'll charge you to find efficiencies in that workflow. And from that point 3, they will charge you to recommend you paid tools which will help you bring automation into your business. And when you see that, you're like, what's wrong with Excel? Why can't I stick to it? So it's not a question of is Excel bad or good. It is about truly understanding that don't fall for the hype, because many businesses have actually suffered because they follow this fad, they follow this hype, they think they're going to be left behind, and they invest a lot of money and then they fail. So it's not about investing in AI to be at the front. It's about investing in AI smartly. And I think that applies to anything. But it's just that somehow, with everything that's going on and everything that gets showcased on your Instagram and TikToks, you get sort of skewed in your mindset saying, no, if I don't do this, I'll be left behind.
So AI is essentially going to be part of your business, right? Any business.
Yeah, I mean, listen, whether you like it or not, you use an email tool, right? You use your an email tool for your productivity in your office. you didn't probably realize, or you realize that whatever tool you were using has now an AI integration in it anyway. So, it's whether it's GPT, Gemini, irrespective, Grok, whatever tool you are using has that model now integrated already.
Yeah.
So back in the day, when that was not happening, someone would have come and told you, why don't you subscribe to it? We will do an integration through it, and then, you will have it. So it's whether you like it or not, you will end up living in a world where AI will be a part of your business, because a lot of technology that you use as a part of your business will end up using it anyways.
Just like the computer, right? When computers came, right?
It's like your electricity, smart meters, right? Yeah. You no longer have someone coming and, opening a window and seeing the meter, reading it, and, sending you an invoice for how much use is there.
Absolutely. You mentioned the incubation centers. There's plenty of them, actually. A lot of the free zones have incubation centers, accelerators. You want to mention what is happening there at the moment?
See, there's a lot of amazing things happening for Emirati nationals. Like absolutely mind-boggling stuff. The kind of support that the government's putting out there for its citizens is mind-boggling. I have not seen a government so interested in the success of their citizens selflessly. It's always with a catch. Out here, they're doing it with just a pure heart of seeing their people grow, which is amazing. And whether you're a citizen or not, you're a byproduct of the society. So when they launch businesses, you as a society benefit from it, right? It creates employment, it creates business opportunities. They will need suppliers, they will need vendors and things like that. They'll need customers. So it's still going to feed into what you do, and it's going to impact you whether you're a citizen or not. When it comes to expats, there's a few initiatives that have been launched where they're trying to bring certain niche together. So it's more of clustering of niche and bringing in certain ecosystem players catered to that niche. So for example, if you were talking about an accelerator program which was factored in and around content creators, they would have access to certain studios like these. They would have access to equipment. They would have access to certain creative people for guidance, which is great. But fundamentally, the challenge of startup that gets solved by incubators is missing.
And what is that?
Funding. We come in this society. I mean, listen, you've been here long enough. Tell me how many friends and family of yours have launched a startup, and you can include yourself in that, and we're able to do that with seed funding rather than bootstrapping and going to friends and family.
Yeah, it's very rare, very, very difficult to get funding. And we bootstrap, by the way, with 30,000 dirhams.
There you go. So that's exactly the point, right? I mean, it's not like you didn't have a great business idea. You're successful, mashallah, and more success to you. But why didn't you? It's not that you choose not to. The point is that you didn't have a choice. So when you want to accelerate something, when you want to accelerate the society, the startup society, it comes with a lot of money at the back of it. And you know what's the funniest thing? We are in the financial capital. I mean, money is abundant out here.
True.
I mean, ask me, come to me with a great business case, happy to invest. But there is no real platform or a trusted platform which matches this. You have a few global players out there who do this. You have a few private equity firms, but then everyone's playing to their own interest. They're not playing to the interest of growing startup environment.
So you think that is a huge impediment at the moment? I mean,
oh yeah. If you think, listen, there was some report out a couple of days ago that they did about 250,000 new company registrations in the UAE for 2025, which is a great number. That number could have easily had a zero at its end if we had seed funding, accessible. If we had incubators and accelerators truly delivering not even something unique, but capabilities on par with what's out there in the West.
Makes sense. And why? Why is there this problem at the moment?
Because it's about ownership. It's too fragmented out here. Who takes responsibility for it?
You think laws are not geared?
Laws don't even allow for it to an extent. I mean, listen, I mean, you're a lawyer. Tell me, how many jurisdictions in the UAE exist? And out of those, how many of them allow for different classes of share?
Yeah, it's just, I think, DIFC and ADGM, right?
Oh, yeah, but then do you know what's the hurdle of being a startup of DIFC and ADGM? Is it a startup inducive? Okay, I'm a startup. I want to launch a tech platform, or I want to start a cafe. Keep it very basic, boring. Can I go and set up over there? No. So they're not even my choice. It's not even a choice.
Limitation. You could have a holding company, perhaps.
Yeah,
but then, of course, it depends upon the investors if they like a structure or not.
I mean, I'm a startup. Don't try to put layers on layers and layers on me. Let me get to the MVP stage before you tell me to put a holding company, right?
Yeah.
Let's start there. Let's be real. You didn't start your structure with a holding company on day one.
True. Absolutely true.
Today, you might have different layers for your estate planning, which is great, which everyone should. But as a startup, every penny counts, especially when I don't have access to additional penny in the market. And the worst part is when opening the door, it's just money and money flowing everywhere.
How are we going to solve it?
See, listen, I think it starts at the grassroots level, and that's where I sort of... it wasn't about creating value. It wasn't about making a business out of it. Alhamdulillah, I've been blessed, worked hard, been in the right place, made in Dubai. Everything's worked, been privileged, had the right education, had the right society around me to, wire my brain to be an entrepreneur. So when things have worked, you don't take it for granted and you take it as a blessing. And that's what I've done. So for me, it's all about now creating that ecosystem. I'm going to work on the grassroots level to try to bridge this gap to whatever capacity one can, to whatever means I have available to me. How do I bring in-house, partnered, collabed, JV contribution to the startup ecosystem, whereby whether it's funding, whether it's marketing, whether it's talent procurement, tech procurement, it's the right mentoring, right guidance when it comes to it's tech consultancy, right? You don't want to be taken down that wormhole where you don't really understand technology, but you have now burnt a hole in your pocket. So I think this is going to start from the grassroots. And if you see the history of some of the successful places in the West, it's actually been the same. It's only when there is some grassroots movement that then the government takes notice. And I think that's what's needed here.
So when you say grassroots, it's
people like me and you, me and you who care about genuinely growing, caring for entrepreneurs, for startups. And listen, while me and you love money, want to make more money in life, but then there's an inherent desire, need, want, where a level of satisfaction is only going to come if we truly are a part of creating a success story.
True. And are there many people around at grassroots level at the moment?
The answer is no. I mean, we would have seen it, right? I mean, listen, my means are limited, your means are limited, and so is everyone else's to an extent. But if you had enough movement, you would have seen the results. And the fact that the results don't exist doesn't mean there's no effort going in. So while I'm putting in my effort and you're putting in your effort, there are others who are doing the same, and I'm pretty sure of it. But we just haven't seen the light at the end of the tunnel yet. We're still in the tunnel, and that's where life is.
Right. Makes sense. So we have businesses coming from overseas. They're setting up shop here, right? And then we have startups, bootstrapping, essentially, a lot of them, right, with small amounts of money and maybe limited funding here and there.
Okay, so I look at these two things differently, right? For me, one is we are acing it. I mean, I can give you a million reasons, and probably million and one, of why any and every company that's out there in the world should actually relocate here. The laws make sense. The environment is right. Health, education, safety, security, the likes. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on with the list, right? Like with the leadership, everything. And then there's a question of homegrown unicorns, startups.
Yeah.
I mean, we are importing businesses right now, and we're doing a phenomenally good job at it. Like, we are awesome at it. Like, it's that good, right? So why should a company relocate here? I mean, your employees would love the sunshine. They would love their kids going to schools where they feel safe, mentally and physically. From a society, people of different nationalities, cultures, faiths, backgrounds sit on the same table and, break bread together. You don't see this everywhere. And it's so enforced. And this comes from the leadership, right? This comes from the leadership of Baba Zayed itself. I mean, you've been doing your research, so you know where this is coming from.
True.
The way women are respected in this society, it's more to do with, if the mothers and the fathers raise their sons right, every woman would feel safe, is how it's my belief. And I feel as a society, it started with the founding father of UAE, who was very adamant of women's safety and respect. So as a society, we benefited from it, and we continue to.
Part of the culture.
Yeah, I mean, this is a non-negotiable, right?
Yeah.
So from that perspective, the list goes on. Why any business that exists in the world should be here.
Yeah.
And then there's a different story. Why the people who are here are unable to launch unicorns. How come we have launched a fraction of any unicorn out there? And I'm not just saying being a unicorn is the measurement, but I'm just referring it back into success stories.
Right. So the government has a very clear agenda for D33, 30 unicorns in the next 8 years. And that's a very aggressive target. I mean, looking at doubling the size of the economy, that is the ambition that the UAE government, Dubai government has in this case. And, how do you think it is going to happen? I mean, it's a big gap at the moment. You've said it rightly that a fraction of the unicorns being here, homegrown, we're talking about, right?
Yeah. So that's what I want to see. Are these, because the D33 doesn't really clarify that, does it? Are they homegrown unicorns? Are they companies which are imported and then, converted to unicorns with their headquarters in Dubai, right? Or something like that. I mean, these are different conversations. So I'm not too worried about them meeting their KPI, if I call it that. I think that's going to be achieved. So you will have way more than what that count is on that KPI in terms of companies that got imported here, that shifted their base here, shifted their HQ here, and then using the platform of the regulations, the financial capital, the talent pool to grow. But what's going to matter is a day when me and you are going to be proud of the movement we have started, when you see someone who's gone to school here, you see someone who's going to the university here, and that person ended up being the Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. It isn't about someone who went to Harvard, Oxford, NYU. It's about someone who went to a university next door. And when that happens, that's when the shift comes. Today, our educational system out here is still imported. We are teaching kids in schools here what the West is teaching, right? You could have different curriculums depending on what kind of school you send your kids to, but who is teaching entrepreneurship? Out there, the society is surrounded by entrepreneurs. So kids are picking it up from their society, not necessarily from school. You happen to be what we call a luck factor, where, like you said, you didn't have an entrepreneurial background. But in my case, I had an entrepreneurial background. I come from a family business background. So I was always exposed to the idea of doing business. So and that's how I am where I am, because a job wouldn't have satisfied me. I know that. it has to start at the grassroots level, where either educational reforms need to take place, where you are teaching kids not just AI related subjects, not just coding related subjects. Where are you teaching kids to be entrepreneurs? So there was a survey done in terms of university kids out in the UAE compared to university students outside, especially in the US. The numbers, the percentages of how many university students were immediately looking to launch their business the day they graduated or had already started, compared to how many of them were looking to go get a job. They were inverse. We were talking like 80-20, 70-30. So there's only 30% of students who are in the university who are thinking of business. Out there, 70% of them are thinking of business, and only 30. And
number.
And I mean, listen, we are way ahead. Like if you go a little further east, and you go to the Asian countries, it's probably going to be 99-1, where 1% of someone is thinking of a business. That also because they're backed by capital from a family money or something like that. Otherwise, everyone's like trying to go get a job.
Do you think size of the economy matters in this case?
No.
It doesn't.
I don't think so, because unless you are selling paper cups, that matters. But
products versus services.
I mean, even with products, okay. I mean, listen, the beauty is you're in Dubai. I mean, it is the hub, right? I mean, if you look at the trade hub in terms of the shipping ports, the airports, how much cargo gets moved around, you could still be launching from here and selling to Turkey and to India and to Karachi and to Indonesia, right? I mean, nothing's stopping you. I mean, this is a hub. We are on a blessed spot on planet Earth from that perspective. But if you're going to talk about any other business, today's businesses aren't going to survive if they are not thinking global already. If your business does not cater to a global audience and a global need, it's a matter of time that this business is going to die. So from that perspective, it doesn't bother me that, the population is only this much, or the size is only this much, or something.
You can't be limiting yourself to the city itself, right? Now, in terms of the expansion, I mean, it's very easy to expand globally when we're talking about services, right? Products-wise, manufacturing, right? That is a bit of a challenge here, right?
You say that, but then I flip it around. Manufacturing requires a lot of electricity, correct? A lot of manpower many a times, depending on how digitally advanced your business is. And those things come pretty cheap out here. I can flip it around, right? So
I mean, how do you compare the city with
electricity.
China?
You need electricity. Okay. You want to talk about China? You want to compare it? Listen, I mean, I'm sure China's got many things right. That's why it's successful, right? Like let's not discount what someone has done right. But if you want to compare it, and if you want to look at the gap, it was a talent gap. They had cheap labor available to them. Reality. They had a government who was pumping funds into that sector to boost the economy. That's a fact. Now, do we have those out here? Probably not. However, if you look at an organization, it is not about where the factory is located. I could be a UAE business having a factory not just in China. I mean, listen, is Apple a Chinese company? Is Apple an Indian company? I mean, their factories are out there.
Yeah.
They gather their input into their products out from, I think, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, everywhere. Like they cross-use chips from different manufacturers from their own competition as a part of what they do. But is Apple a Chinese company?
Of course not.
So, so even if and they are manufacturing products, right?
Yeah, of course, in China.
So you see how I don't see manufacturing location of a factory being associated to where the company is from. So nothing is stopping someone out here in Dubai thinking of the next
Apple, for example,
product.
Yeah.
Communication product. I mean, did you use the pages back in the day? Did you go to the? I mean, I used to collect those.
I'm old enough.
I used to collect those phone booth cards when I was a kid. Because we would have these fancy different designs. They would come out. I would have to go to the phone booth to dial on a landline to let them know, yes, we're still playing in the park, kind of a thing. And then we had these fancy phones, which is so beautiful, right? Like somehow it's all gotten boring when a brick now. But the Nokia 3110s and oh my God, they were so beautiful phones. I mean, they wouldn't break. The batteries would last a week.
Yeah.
And then now what we have is just a screen getting bigger and bigger. At one point, me and you will be holding a TV probably. But then there's going to be an innovation in about wearable technology, for example, whether you like it or not. You're seeing glimpses of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That brings me to 0 to 1 ideas, right? I mean, that's where I think the gap is at the moment, right? I mean, most of the ideas, as you've rightly said, or the businesses are imported, right?
People out here have ideas, but then they struggle to convert the idea to reality because of a lack of know-how, lack of support, lack of access to information, lack of access to creating prototypes. I mean, I could be in the States and I could have this idea and I could go speak to a university and they would fund a program to test it, try it if it had merit to it.
Yeah.
Try doing anything like that out here. It doesn't exist. There's no tech labs out here that are easily accessible to individual startup founder visionaries.
Right. Just going back to the very first opening of the discussion that we're having, so you said we were sort of opening now at the moment. We were starting off.
So they're laying the framework, right? Yeah. So now, for example, I went to school here. We did not have tech labs. We did not have 3D printers to play with. I mean, that technology didn't exist. But then I'm saying even in terms of whatever technology existed back in the day, on an educational front, that wasn't something that we were exposed to. Now you're seeing that come in to the school environment here, to the curriculum here. If you see, when I launched my first business in the UAE, I can't think of any UAE-grown accelerator incubator existing.
And when was that?
First business. I mean, listen, I did try an experiment. I mean, I'm talking about something as a hobby as a kid, like probably 12 years old. Wasn't in my name, was under my dad's name, but obviously for legal reasons. But it was just something that I was trying out. Like it was a hustle. It was a side hustle. But there was no concept of incubators, accelerators back then, right? I mean, even as a young adult, I mean, by the time I got into business line around, let's say 2008, 2010, we didn't really have an accessible incubator accelerator for expatriates out here, for example. And there are many of them accessible now. So that's what I meant, right? Like we're doing it, we're getting there. And because the vision is right, the intent is right, nothing's going to stop us from excelling it and being there. And that's why I tell to everyone, like, this is the time. If you want an early mover advantage, this is the time. If you want to understand the geography, the landscape, the culture, this is the time. If you aren't there, if you're not in Dubai already, if you're not in UAE already, this is the time. You better get here. But beyond that, I think it's going to be certain grassroots movements, people taking initiatives of truly wanting to grow the entrepreneurship segment out here.
So you mentioned 2008, right? So what are the changes that you've seen since then? We're in 2026 now. 18 years, is it? Yes.
For startups or for business?
For startups.
Right. Okay. So for startups, we now have access to the tier 2 and tier 3 funding. So back then, I couldn't have thought of doing an IPO. I mean, I think you had DFM in and around, but honestly, there were hurdles were to another level for someone to envision who's just starting out to use that as an exit point, right, in their strategy. So you now have access to private equity. You now have access to venture capital. You now have access to angel investors. You now have access to certain government funds, grants, if you are in certain niche space. Legal changes in terms of company ownership, IP ownership, labor laws, pretty streamlined in comparison. Right? I mean, there's more talent. More and more people have come. Population has grown. More and more people have gotten attracted to Dubai. So you do have a better talent pool today than in 2008. If you want to talk about technology, you now have access to better technology out here again because more businesses came bringing their technology, bringing their distribution centers, bringing their sales reps out here. So back in the day, you would have had to travel to UK or US to get a certain brand of a software. They're all around the corner and many more. So the environment exists, but in your experience, how do you see the shift of the landscape when it comes to startups in that,
I think you mentioned the laws. I mean, the removal of that 51% ownership has shown a lot of promise, I think. Other than that, you're absolutely spot on. I think there's a lot of awareness now. There's a lot of talk on entrepreneurship, incubators, accelerators. At least they've started off. They didn't exist when I came to the UAE in 2007, and we're talking about your case in 2008. They did not exist. And these initiatives have come a long way, I think. At least there are talks. At least there are places where people can go and pitch.
Yeah.
Right? And they can get basic funding as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of awareness, a lot of people looking to start, albeit, with their own funding, bootstrapping, all of that. So the movement is there, I think. There's a lot more drive towards entrepreneurship in general.
Yeah, at least globally now, if you talk to someone and say I'm in Dubai, they don't think you're riding camels, right? Hopefully.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, in terms of my take is that, in terms of bringing 0 to 1 ideas, which are the most original ideas, like the idea of creating another Apple or another Microsoft, I think that's where the key is. If we're talking about bringing homegrown unicorns, and you've rightly said schools and education system, overall ecosystem has to now evolve towards that.
If you go look at some of the unicorns out there, just globally, you would be surprised how few of them are actual, inventions.
That is also very interesting.
So Facebook wasn't the first community platform. I mean, I remember Orkut, MySpace. There's so many.
So wasn't Google.
So many.
So wasn't
Yahoo.
Google.
These existed.
Yeah.
You'd want to talk about email and this and that. I mean, we had Hotmail, and before Hotmail, we had something else. And I mean, with the browsers and this and that, right? What Apple does with Safari, you had Netscape, Firefox, and the likes. I mean, just when you go back and take a list and download of all the unicorns out there, see what small portion of it is actually invention. So for me, it's all about, and I've been a very fierce advocate of saying, do not launch a business for the sake of launching a business. Launch a business to solve a problem, to solve a need, to bring something to the table that doesn't exist. What do I mean by that? You could be bringing out a car while a car exists, but if your car is either cheaper, more affordable, better quality, faster, you can bring it to your product faster to the market. The delivery time is better. You can iterate, and you can, these are incremental improvements. But if that's significant increments in the improvement of what you're bringing to the table, as long as that increment is truly solving a need, a desire, a problem, because it's not just problem solving, it's also desires, right? I mean, we wouldn't have fashion labels if it was only about needs. I mean, there's desires too. So as long as you can solve a problem or meet a desire, you're golden.
Yeah.
I mean, you came to a city where at a time, launching from that legal background of yours and, starting your own business. And I remember back then, try finding a corporate lawyer.
Yeah.
For corporate lawyers who don't want to pay, a fortune to draft an agreement, a partnership agreement, for example. And how many corporate law firms do you still, in today's day and age, do you think are catering to startups out here?
Very few, actually. Very few.
I mean, startups have now gotten the fortune of leaning on the GPT models or whatever it is, right? To extract and create those templates. Only the reality is that they're not 100% accurate. And when you're talking legal matters, you cannot have that confusion. You cannot excuse yourself for saying, oh, but I took it from ChatGPT. A simple thing like that.
Why
till
do you
date.
think why do you think that is the case?
I don't know if you know this. I've actually tried to launch 3 law firms and failed.
Okay, tell me about it.
I'm no lawyer, right? But I see a need, I see a desire, and I want to fill that desire. I want to fill that unmet need. And the challenge is that everyone's chasing different things at different stages of their lives. If you're chasing the big ticket item, then a corporate agreement draft ain't gonna, buy you a Mercedes, if I call it that. And people are apprehensive of doing this because they don't see a huge market for it. Why? Because how many companies out here actually have, excluding the MOUs or articles that the free zones or the mainland requires you to sign, have genuine partnership agreements with a full, thorough understanding of what are the rights, responsibilities, duties between partners? How many companies out here have genuine CEO agreements?
Yeah.
So you see, it goes back to that Excel conversation.
Yeah.
If I can live without it, if it's not mandated, it's not by law, why should I do it? And that's where the rewiring has to start with, at the grassroots, saying, is it going to take one problem or a million problems, or is it going to take for you to have a problem? And probably it's too late by then, that the next time you will think of having a legal agreement in place.
You've actually highlighted a very, very important point, and this actually goes through across the board. The sophistication of the sort of documentation.
Yeah, but the market's not ready to pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be a stage where you're going to have these models like ChatGPTs and this and that can be adapted to make them really accurate. And hence it becomes affordable, where now the cost is so low that the person who was going to give it a miss says, you know what, it's not going to cost a lot, so let's do it.
Do you think it has something to do with the regulations or the complexity of the regulations not allowing law firms to?
No, it's something to do with money. I mean, you could have a partnership agreement in 2008 drafted by the law firms that existed. And do you want to tell me what would that have cost?
Quite expensive. Of course, they charge by the hours. I mean, depending upon the complexity of the document.
Maybe a standard, typical 2-people partnership agreement with rights, responsibilities, voting rights, blah, 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 decision-making, bank powers. I'm not talking about the basic needs of what's needed to satisfy a bank. I'm talking about a genuine relationship understanding between 2 individuals.
Yeah, it could start from 10,000, go up to anything, depending upon the negotiations or complexity.
And average startup capital, in your case, was 30,000.
Yes.
Right? I mean, in my experience, an average startup capital back then was 100,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Are you telling me I would spend 10% of my capital to put what me and you understand, agree upon verbally in writing?
Yeah.
No. It's about money.
Yeah.
Do the same for 5 dirhams. Would you do it? Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where the challenge is. It boils down to money.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Now, how has the mindset of entrepreneurs evolved over the last 18 years? We're setting 2008
right. I'm saying 2026. I still see people, and I'm saying this exactly. I'm not saying this is happening in 2008. I'm saying we are in 2026. If you're going to look at that 250,000 new companies that formed in the UAE, you would assume about 50-60% of them are going to be startups, SME sector. Those 150,000 odd companies, how many of them invested in a partnership agreement? Let's assume some of them as solopreneurs. So maybe you had a case of 30,000 companies, 50,000 companies out of that whole lot that could actually benefit from a partnership agreement. Out of those 50,000, you providing these legal services, how many of them reached out to you?
I think the awareness is not there. There are 2 problems. One is the cost. The second is the awareness. I mean,
it's not mandated, right? Number one.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Which is how it should be. I mean, the law shouldn't force business in certain manners. I mean, they should allow for that freedom for business to take their own decisions, which is perfect. However, even if the awareness existed, I think what is going to matter is if you start building an organization with a mindset of a future raise, future exit, you know that how important are these paperworks and documents.
Yes.
So that is an educational piece. I have gone into pitches where I have liked the business idea. I have committed to the funds, go into due diligence, and due to lack of paperwork, due to lack of audited statements, due to lack of legal structure being thoroughly done. Oh, the account's it's a tech platform, but the domain's under my personal name because as a startup, that's how I started, right? Just a very typical UAE example for you.
Yeah.
I have walked away from that deal, even though I like the idea. I know it's a great idea because the due diligence didn't exist. So it's that educational piece. It's the awareness. I don't think anyone needs to be made aware of the importance of having an agreement when you are going into a partnership of any kind. It is about educating people as to why that partnership is important, right? Why that partnership agreement is important.
Do you think that long-term mindset is missing amongst these?
Because everyone's still trying to call themselves entrepreneurs while they're actually running a family business, one mom and pop shop themselves. They think having a business is equal to being an entrepreneur. I don't think so. Startup, yes. Having a startup is equal to having a startup. Launching one business equals to you having done a startup, but it's by no means the definition of entrepreneurship. And that's the challenge.
Yeah.
It's a lack of know-how.
Know-how, absolutely. And that's where when we started off this segment of the discussion, I was connecting this to the Silicon Valley, the culture there. Right?
Yeah, it's know-how.
It's the know-how and the availability of those venture capital firms and the overall educational environment that makes.
It's not even about the availability. Availability is out here as well. And this is what I'm saying. Out here, you have more access and more capital. It is the know-how that's missing of what do I actually need to do. The challenge, and I'll tell you why, because a large population of UAE is from the subcontinent, right? India, Pakistan, and wherever roots and origins are from as well. Huge population, right? From the Middle Eastern region as well, because a lot of it is expatriate population. If you go back and you look at the definition of a successful business person that was ingrained in us, whether it was through our media, whether it was through our society, movies, culture, family, was all about family businesses. You start a business, you grow that business, and then your children will take over that business, and their children will take over that business, was the definition of a successful business.
Yeah.
Nowhere where you taught create value, extract value, create value, extract value, create value, extract value. Nowhere where we taught launch your business with an intent to extract the value that you've created by selling your shares, by doing an IPO. On the contrary, the only time you would sell your shares was if you were in distress and you were financially, and that's how it was sort of ingrained in us. It was actually taught to us as a negative thing. I mean, listen, I've had some exits. I've had some successful exits, but imagine if I came from that school of thought, I had an offer on the table, I would have declined it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not in need of money. My business is doing really well. Why should I exit?
Yeah. Extract value.
Yeah.
Yes. So what we are getting at is that, entrepreneurs are not very clear in their head when they are sort of looking to launch something. They're not clear in terms of the structure. They're not clear in terms of the documentation, the ultimate vision for themselves. Right.
I think entrepreneurs need to understand. It's not even about clarity. I think it's about understanding and accepting that what they're doing is they're creating value with an intent to extract that value. And that extraction comes in the form of making money.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Either you take it in the form of dividends, either you take it in the form of sale of shares. It's like buying a property. I mean, when I talk to people about property, they're like, so easily understand it because it's just been happening generationally, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you buy a property what? Just to collect rent? Are you buying a property to never sell it?
Yeah.
No, put in a great offer, you will sell it, right?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, when I say, how is that asset class of property different from an asset class called shares business? You know where the problem is? Majority of the founders put themselves in the positions of CEO. They hate the notion that they're going to be jobless tomorrow. So this is why I start with the idea of saying any business I create, the first thing, KPI for myself, apart from obviously launching the business and getting things in order, but as a personal KPI would be a 6-month mark to fire myself.
And for that, you have to make the business independent, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a beautiful one. I mean, I think you've absolutely nailed it. If there's one piece of conversation that actually nails our conversation today, it has to be this one.
If you're
Beautiful.
not, if you're a business owner and you're a slave to your business,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
You're working in the business.
You invested in buying yourself a job.
Yeah. True.
That's how I call it.
True. Absolutely true. So how are we shifting that mindset for the people here?
For the people here, right? One, spread awareness. Spread not just motivational quotes. I promise you, there are more people who are motivated and wanting to do something than those who are lazy in the bed. But they just don't know what to do next. They don't know how to fight their fears and their insecurities. They don't know how to explore the boundaries, stretch the boundaries, because they have a family at home whom they need to feed and bills to pay. I encourage, for example, within my community, within my environment with the employees, please launch your businesses. I mean, I was just walking through a corridor of one of the businesses yesterday, and a colleague comes and shakes hands and says hello. And I don't know him really that well. I mean, out of all the employees, I don't meet and mingle with everyone, but I know he's there. I've seen that face around, saying hello, hi, how are you? How's everything? He's like, listen, I just want to grab you for a moment. I said, sure, tell me, how can I help you? He's like, no, I just need to thank you. And I said, why? He's like, oh, well, you know what? Listening to you, hearing what you're doing, and how you guide, I have now gone and launched a beverage product in somewhere in India, catered to a niche audience or something like that, and said, out of nowhere, what's happening is because of all these tariffs and situations that are going on out there, there's a huge push away from the Western products, and my products actually picked up in the society quite significantly, and I'm doing really well. And I was so proud of it. In a normal scenario, what would an employer think is, oh my God, they're going to go away. In my case, I'm like, why are you still here? Like, that actually just came out, like I blurted out, like, so why are you still here? Why aren't you going and growing it further? It's like, oh no, I heard what you said. I've hired the right team to run it while I'm still here making this.
There you go.
And that's sort of the conversation that I want to have, is that more and more people need to encourage their people to be business owners. More and more people need, because it's eventually the society that benefits. It's not about the hardship of losing an employee because they resigned because they started their business. It's okay. It's for the betterment of the society.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm with you on that, but the reality is that a lot of the businesses actually fail as well. And not everyone is born to be an entrepreneur either, right?
I don't think anyone is an entrepreneur in their mother's womb. Nobody. Forget about that. School didn't teach you or me to be entrepreneurs. Here we are.
My example is there as well.
Yeah.
I changed.
It's not what changed. You get put in an environment like Dubai.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have a choice, my friend. You come across people like me in every elevator, and that's where I love the idea of Dubai, which is it pushes you constantly to be finding a better version of yourself.
Yeah. What about the fear of failing and being an expat country where the life is very expensive?
And that's where the regulations will come into play. The bankruptcy laws will get better. I mean, they have now launched, recently last year, and they need to be smoothened out. And I'm sure it will happen. And the more and more people will attempt more and more. But again, like I said, it is a misconception that I have to leave a job, I have to leave a secure environment to be able to attempt. Because if you're going to do entrepreneurship and startup, specifically startup, right? There's this saying, the thing that you go all in or don't do anything. I think that's the wrong approach. And, we can debate about it. But my approach is launch an MVP, which is as cheap as possible, as fast as possible, yet sustaining the quality of what you're truly trying to showcase to the world. And again, the concept of saying I have to bootstrap everything is where it comes that I will lose it all. No one's asking you to mortgage your house to launch your business. If your business idea deserves funding, it will receive funding. If it truly deserves a valuation that you put it on paper, you'll get it. Or at least there'll be negotiations on it. But you're not even attempting. The challenge today is that anyone and everyone thinks if I have to launch my business, that means I'll have to leave my job, I'll have to bootstrap, I'll have to invest this much money myself. I'll have no funding. But no one's attempting at the same time to bloody put a pitch deck together. No one's trying to attempt to create, a simple case study, sample, prototype, MVP.
Well, people don't know where to go. There are incubation centers.
I mean, listen, at some point, it's not about, no, I don't think incubation and accelerator programs are the only avenue, right? I mean, listen, if you care about, let's say I want to start a law firm, right? Let's start there. I want to start a law firm and I'm not a lawyer. Where do you want me to start? Go speak to a few lawyers.
Yeah.
But if I'm not going to bother doing that, I failed 3 times at it because the market not ready to receive the product that I'm giving, to it for the price point that exists at that time, and which is fine. And these are lessons learned, right? And I mean, you can take that lesson, you can apply it to any other launch that you do. I mean, but it's easier said than done when, you have the money flowing in. And I get it. But there's also a reality check is that you can, the same way probably me and you did, is work, save enough, not have a stupid lifestyle, and at least invest enough to launch something, which then has an opportunity to be scaled.
People should think about it. Think about MVP. That is the starting point.
Minimum viable product. Bring me a prototype, bring me a sample, bring me something that I can show and on the back of which I can raise funding. Enough people out here start seeking funding at an early stage startup, which is what's missing in the market as a platform. You will see platform players come in because they will see the opportunity to make a margin on that investment. So that's the challenge, is that not enough people are going to the market with the right X, raising seed funding, early stage funding.
Beautiful lessons here. So now we started off discussing the D33 economic agenda, of course, of Dubai, and talked about the unicorns coming up in Dubai. Where do you think we're headed in the next 10 years, 20 years, and maybe 25 years? D33 will happen on the way, of course.
What I see of the future is that there will be more and more talks in the city about fairly successful businesses wanting to start extracting value with an intent of making money, frankly speaking. It would be more in the lines of saying, listen, I want to exit. And whether it's lack of experience or lack of society in terms of private equity exits, the terminology that's going to be thrown around, left, right, center, is going to be IPO. Where I see the future of Dubai, you have more likelihood of and this might startle you, to do something that's going to be a tokenization of the shares of your company, and you're going to launch it on a platform where the general public will then have access to buy those shares and reap the dividends before you even consider going to an IPO, because of the reason that you yourself said corporate services have existed for eons, and there aren't really that many examples of IPO happening. But you're going to create this middle layer of value extraction, which is going to be tech driven through fractional ownership, where you will be able to not raise money, but release equity to the public.
Do you think UAE or Dubai is preparing for those laws at the moment?
Yes.
That'll be a significant change in the legal regime, and it'll facilitate a lot of funding availability.
Yeah.
Huge. What year we're talking about?
Which year can this be executed, or which year will we see this being executed?
Which year will see this being executed?
Okay, so if this had to be executed, this can be executed today with the current regime.
Yeah.
Which year do I see this becoming mainstream? I would say give it another 2 years.
Yeah. Interesting developments there.
So
yeah,
we're going to see the future be a lot more about, it's going to come in stages, where for the next stage of the journey, you're going to get a lot of value extractions happening, whether it's through exits, through private equity, through VCs, through angels, whatever, right? There's going to be a lot of extraction happening at that scale, while simultaneously you will have the big government-backed operations, etc., continuing to go down the IPO routes. 5 years, 3 to 7 year time frame, you're going to see a lot of these extractions creating a buzz for more and more people to feed into the startup environment, because now they see the light at the end of the tunnel for other players. It stops being me and you from just being in the tunnel. And that's going to drive a lot more traffic through this tunnel, where the courage will come, the encouragement will come, the know-how will come, the access to knowledge will come, and they will start launching more and more businesses with an intent to create value, and those that successfully create value will extract that value further and further.
Beautiful, beautiful. To end this conversation, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. What are the 2 or 3 things that any entrepreneur today should take from this conversation or from you?
Okay, listen, I mean, I'm sitting with you, so I'm going to probably deflect off what I am sensing from you and what I know of you as a person, right? From whatever conversations we've had and what I've known about you from my conversations with other people about you. Okay, number 1, being an entrepreneur does not mean you have to be working in the business. It actually means how soon can you get out of working in the business? Number 1. Number 2, have clarity from as early on as possible about why you're doing it. And what's the long-term approach. And if you do intend to, let's say, do an IPO, extract value, then in that case, set the groundwork and the framework from now. Get the legal papers, structure, estate planning, I would say your holding structures, your IPs, your patents, your data rooms, your dashboards. Just try sending an Excel file to an investor. Good luck.
Absolutely.
It's mind-boggling. It still happens. So I think that's another. Third, no matter where you're on planet Earth and you're listening to this, if you want to know where the future is, because the groundwork has been laid, the vision exists, and it's not a question of if, but a question of now, not even when. It's here. It's UAE. You're going to miss out on a great opportunity that this land is going to bring. And for those who talk about bubbles, let me ask them to do a little bit research rather than just scrolling on TikTok. Go look at the property rates in some of the leading cities of the world, be it London, New York, Manhattan, probably Sydney, Tokyo, and please compare it with the property rates out here in the UAE. And then ask anyone and everyone who is in UK, in New York, in Sydney, where would they rather be living?
Dubai.
There you go.
Absolutely. I think that's a very thoughtful end to the conversation. I think your conversation has been quite deep, actually. You have touched the very, very core of entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people
I hope it resonates with your audience.
Absolutely, absolutely. They will love this conversation. I can tell you that this is the truth of the matter, that, if you are heading into a business, starting a business, have the plan, long-term plan. That's the message I think that I would personally take and our audience should take from this. Thank you so much, Jigar.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you.